Dr. Naomi Ashford was settling into seat 1A when the flight attendant tapped her shoulder. "Excuse me, miss, I think you're in the wrong seat." Dr. Ashford looked up from her medical journal, confused. She'd just paid $10,400 for this last-minute first-class ticket from New York to London. An emergency medical conference, a groundbreaking presentation on cardiac surgery techniques she'd pioneered. This wasn't just any flight, it was the most important trip of her career. "This is my seat," she said calmly, holding up her boarding pass. "Seat 1A, clear as day." The flight attendant, a woman named Claire Berkshire, barely glanced at it. "I'm sorry, but there must be some mistake. This passenger," she gestured to a white man in his 60s standing in the aisle, "purchased this seat." Dr. Ashford's heart sank. She'd been a cardiovascular surgeon for 15 years. She'd operated on senators, celebrities, and even a former ambassador. She'd saved hundreds of lives. But in this moment, she was just another black woman being told she didn't belong. "There's no mistake," Dr. Ashford said, keeping her voice measured. "I booked this seat yesterday. I have the confirmation right here." She pulled up the email on her phone. Booking confirmation. Credit card charge, $10,400. Seat 1A. The man in the aisle spoke up, his voice dripping with entitlement. "I'm Charles Whitmore. I'm a Platinum Elite member. I always sit in 1A. This is clearly some kind of system error." Claire turned to Dr. Ashford. "Ma'am, would you mind moving to another seat? We'll make sure you're compensated." "Compensated? I paid for this specific seat. This man is the one without a boarding pass for it." Charles scoffed. "This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am? I've flown this airline for 30 years. And I'm a cardiovascular surgeon, on my way to present at an international medical conference. My credentials are just as valid as yours." But Claire wasn't listening. She radioed for the purser, a man named Robert Chen. Within minutes, he arrived and the situation escalated. "Dr. Ashford, I see you purchased this ticket yesterday. However, Mr. Whitmore here has a standing arrangement with our airline for seat 1A on this route." "A standing arrangement isn't a confirmed reservation," Dr. Ashford countered. "I have a confirmed paid reservation. He doesn't." Charles pulled out his phone. "I'm calling corporate right now. This is unacceptable." "So am I," Dr. Ashford said, her patience finally breaking. She dialed her attorney, putting the call on speaker. "Michael, I'm being removed from a first-class seat I paid $10,400 for because a white passenger says he has a standing arrangement." Her attorney's voice was sharp. "Don't move. Don't leave that seat. Ask them to state on the record why they're removing you." Robert's face paled. He realized this wasn't going to be a quiet resolution. "Dr. Ashford, perhaps we can upgrade you to our premium suite on the upper deck." "I don't want an upgrade. I want the seat I purchased." By now, other passengers were watching. Some were filming. A woman in seat 2A spoke up. "I've been sitting here for 10 minutes. I watched her sit down first. Why is she being asked to move?" Another passenger in 3C added, "This is discriminatory. She has the boarding pass. He doesn't." Charles's face reddened. "This has nothing to do with race. I'm a loyal customer." "Then you should know the policy. Confirmed reservations trump loyalty preferences. But somehow you think your 30 years of flying makes you more entitled to my seat than my $10,400 payment." The gate agent rushed onto the plane, breathless. She'd been pulled from the desk to resolve the situation. After checking both boarding passes in the system, she delivered the verdict no one wanted, except Dr. Ashford. "Mr. Whitmore, your reservation for seat 1A did not confirm. The seat was sold to Dr. Ashford yesterday when she booked. I apologize for the confusion, but the seat is hers." Charles exploded. "This is outrageous. Do you know how much money I've spent with this airline?" "Sir, I'm going to ask you to take your assigned seat, which is 4B. 4B? That's not even a bulkhead seat." The entire first-class cabin watched as Charles, red-faced and fuming, finally moved to his actual seat. Claire and Robert said nothing to Dr. Ashford, No apology, no acknowledgement of what had just happened. As the plane pushed back from the gate, Dr. Ashford sat in seat 1A, shaking, not from fear, but from rage. She'd been humiliated in front of dozens of people, treated like she'd stolen her seat, all because someone assumed she didn't belong there. She opened her laptop and began typing. Names, times, direct quotes, every detail she could remember, and she forwarded everything to her attorney with a simple subject line, "Discrimination case, full documentation." When the plane landed in London 12 hours later, Dr. Ashford's story was already going viral. A passenger had posted the confrontation on Twitter, and it had been viewed 3 million times. Hashtags were trending. Aviation lawyers were commenting. Civil rights organizations were reaching out. The airline issued a statement within hours. "We are investigating this incident and take all concerns seriously. We apologize for any inconvenience." But Dr. Ashford wasn't accepting vague apologies. She hired one of the top discrimination attorneys in the country. They filed a lawsuit not just for the humiliation she endured, but for a pattern of behavior that investigation would soon reveal. Discovery was brutal for the airline. Depositions revealed that standing arrangements for premium passengers were often honored over confirmed reservations, but only when those premium passengers were white. Internal emails showed flight attendants routinely question black passengers in first class, asking to verify their tickets, while white passengers in the same cabin were never questioned. Data analysts combed through 5 years of complaints. They found over 200 documented cases of black passengers being challenged, moved, or removed from premium cabins under dubious circumstances. Some were told their tickets were fraudulent. Others were accused of being upgraded by mistake. Many were simply asked to move to accommodate white passengers with lower-tier bookings. The airline's internal training materials were damning. Phrases like high-value passenger experience and maintaining cabin atmosphere were code for prioritizing white comfort over black passengers' confirmed reservations. Expert witnesses testified about the psychological harm of such discrimination. Dr. Ashford herself took the stand, describing the humiliation of being treated like a thief in front of an entire cabin, the assumption that she couldn't afford the seat she'd purchased, the complete dismissal of her credentials and humanity. "I've operated on over 2,000 hearts. I've held human lives in my hands. I've made split-second decisions that determined whether someone lived or died. And yet, on that plane, I was treated less than human because of the color of my skin." The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They awarded Dr. Ashford $2 million in damages, $500,000 for emotional distress, $1.5 million in punitive damages designed to punish the airline and deter future discrimination. But the verdict wasn't just about money. The judge issued a consent decree requiring the airline to implement sweeping changes, mandatory anti-bias training for all employees, an independent monitor to review discrimination complaints for 5 years, public reporting of all complaints involving passenger removal or seat changes, and a compensation fund for other passengers who could prove similar treatment. Charles Whitmore, the man who had claimed her seat, was quietly removed from the airline's elite status program. Claire Berkshire and Robert Chen were terminated, and the gate agent who had finally verified the truth was promoted and put in charge of the new passenger advocacy program. Dr. Ashford used a portion of her settlement to establish a foundation supporting black professionals who face discrimination in public spaces. She partnered with civil rights organizations to track and document incidents of racial profiling in air travel. And she continued her groundbreaking cardiac surgery work, never letting that day define her, but never forgetting it either. The airline stock dropped 7% after the verdict. They lost 17 corporate contracts, and most importantly, they became a cautionary tale about the real cost of discrimination, not just to victims, but to the institutions that enable it. Seat 1A was just a seat, but what happened there exposed something much bigger, a system that assumed black excellence was impossible, that wealth and achievement had a color, and that some people's comfort mattered more than others' confirmed rights. Dr. Ashford proved them wrong, and it cost them $2 million to learn that lesson. The aftermath of Dr. Ashford's case went beyond one airline. Her lawsuit sparked a wave of similar claims across the industry. 47 other passengers came forward with their own stories, many of them doctors, lawyers, executives, and business owners who'd been questioned, challenged, or humiliated in premium cabins. The Department of Transportation launched a formal investigation into discrimination practices across all major airlines. New federal guidelines were issued requiring airlines to track and report all incidents involving passenger seat disputes, with penalties for patterns of racial bias. But here's what Dr. Ashford said in an interview 6 months after the verdict that really resonated. That $10,400 ticket was the most expensive lesson that airline ever learned, not because of the seat, but because they couldn't imagine that someone who looked like me had earned the right to sit in it. She's right. The case wasn't about one seat on one flight. It was about the everyday indignities that black professionals face, even after achieving the highest levels of success. It was about systems that default to suspicion instead of respect. And it was about the cost of assuming that excellence has a complexion. If this story made you think, hit that subscribe button. I cover cases like this because they matter, because they reveal truths we need to confront, and because change only happens when we pay attention. Drop a comment. Have you or someone you know experienced discrimination in a premium service setting? Your story deserves to be heard. Share this video, because Dr. Ashford fought back, and her victory opened doors for countless others who'd been too intimidated, too exhausted, or too afraid to challenge the system. She paid $10,400 for a seat. The airline paid $2 million for their assumptions. And that's a price tag we should all remember. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.